Today we're gonna go straight into the world of horror games, and we've got something special on the menu. We're gonna be talking about the chilling artistry of Chilla Arts. Chilla isn't your average spooky games developer. I think they're single-handedly changing the horror genre. Now grab your flashlight, put on your stompers, and let's take a terrifying journey into the mind of Chilla's art. By the way, Chilla's art is two brothers making video games. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to be referring to them as Chilla. To understand Chilla's impact, we gotta go way back to the beginning of horror games. We've had our fair share of scream-inducing titles from Resident Evil to Silent Hill. These video games relied on their nightmarish imagery of zombies or demons or whatever the heck that is. Usually in horror games, you're the main character with a certain goal, whether that be like fighting some enemies, taking some photos of some ghosts, or just trying to find an escape somewhere. Why am I here? Why is this thing chasing me? Why didn't this game ever come out? But what sets Chilla apart is their unique artistic vision. They've turned horror games into a dark, immersive art form. Using an analog horror style as well as some Japanese folklore, Chilla's games are more than just a bunch of jump scares and gore. They're meticulously crafted nightmares to mess with your mind. Instead of those generic objectives that I talked about earlier, in Chilla's games you're usually placed in the shoes of someone going on about their normal day until something just freaky starts happening to them. Chilla understands the power of atmosphere and they wield it like a freaking weapon. From haunting sound design to spine-chilling visuals, every element in these games is meticulously designed to invoke a sense of dread. But in these games, it's not just about scares. Chilla's artistry extends beyond that. They like to weave captivating narratives that leave a lasting impact on the player. Their games like to explore deep psychological themes that blur the lines between nightmare and reality. Chilla's storytelling is a master in the art of fear. One game that perfectly exemplifies Chilla's brilliance is The Closing Shift. This game is one of Chilla's most popular horror games. In this game, you work as a barista that works in a coffee shop that looks super similar to Starbucks. Don't worry about that, and you're working in the late shift. Did I mention the whole time you're working, there's a creepy stalker that's just watching you? He wants to come and probably just eat your fingers? No. I'm not gonna let you in. If you come in, you're gonna probably put your elbows in my eyes. What makes some of their games different from what we see in normal video games is how grounded into reality that these games can be. If you get immersed into this creepy world that Chilla crafted, you get the same sense of dread you would if this were to happen to you in real life. And then it hits you. This can happen in real life. And it has. This is Samantha Koenig. She was a coffee shop barista that was working a late shift in Alaska, and unfortunately, she got killed while working her late shift. You see, what makes these games so scary is how grounded they can feel to reality. Chilla's art also uses a new art style that has recently been adopted by everyone else in the genre. You see, analog horror has been rising in popularity in videos on the internet, and it's been a mainstay in video games such as Outlast or Slenderman. But instead of being a key gameplay mechanic, like in Outlast when your camera dies, or in Slenderman when Slenderman is really close to you, the video kind of starts staticking. It's more of just an artistic choice in Chilla's games. And because these games have a specific analog look to them, it's really easy to play these games and subconsciously just feel anxious while you're playing them. Horror movies also like to do this, but instead they use music to invoke anxiety. But in Chilla's games, it's a visual thing. This look just makes you feel uncomfortable when you're playing. Everything is just fuzzy and out of focus. It's kind of like when you're trying to remember a nightmare, everything's just fuzzy in your head. That's how these games look. When you see characters moving in the game, they're usually just like going really stiff. And the way that these characters look, it's usually like a real life image of someone's face that's just been pasted on the faces of these characters. So as I'm editing the video, look what I noticed. These characters, they look like how people look when they wear Apple's new Vision Pro. These details can usually feel nostalgic and remind you of older games. However, in these games, these visual elements usually invoke a sense of eeriness as well as a feeling of the uncanny. The vintage look and feel of Chilla's games can give off a very unsettling vibe, especially when combined with the other stuff I talked about. There's also the setting of some of these games. When you enter a new area, you're usually presented with something that looks like this. Usually a lonely building that's just shrouded in darkness. It feels like people should be here, But they're not, because it's 2 a.m. Now every time. Now some games unintentionally did this, like Gmod, and that wasn't even supposed to be a scary game. But if you take this same design philosophy and you apply it to a horror game, oh Nelly. But Chilla's influence doesn't just end in their own games. Their impact on the genre as a whole is undeniable. Many other developers have taken cues from Chilla's innovative approach to horror games. We're seeing a new wave of games that prioritize atmosphere, storytelling, and psychological depth thanks to Chilla, such as Fears to Fathom. This is a series that takes people's true stories and makes them playable. I do this because I don't know if it's the internet, you don't know if what you're reading is real or what you're playing is real. Fears to Fathom likes to use the same design that Chilla uses in their games. There's a VHS filter that gives off the same sense of uneasiness. Characters are stiff, they move very unnaturally, and the environments feel desolate, even though you know that you're not alone. This isn't the only other game series though. There are tons of other games that came out after Chilla's art games, and they use the same design philosophy. So when I say Chilla's art is changing the whole horror genre, I think it's pretty fitting. So then what's next for Chilla? Well, if their track record is any indication, we can expect more bone-chilling experiences that make you feel like you're always being watched while keeping that retro aesthetic. That's it. We've talked about the chilling artistry of Chilla's art and how they're changing the horror genre. If you haven't already, check out some of their games. Honestly, I've just been obsessed with them. They're really creepy and eerie and just everything that I talked about in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Take care. I'll see you guys later.